Hello everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of You Deserve Fresh Lettuce. I am your co-host Rachel.
And I'm Diane.
And in this episode we're going to be talking about women who are going from girlfriend to hospice nurse. My goodness.
Wait, no, it's hospice wife, no?
Oh yeah, hospice nurse / wife.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, if you are not following us on social media, please do
What
so
are you doing?
at YDFL Podcast.
What are you doing anyway?
Get your life together and head on over to social media and follow us at YDFL Podcast. You can also listen to us on your favorite podcast platforms, including
Ask Alexa, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Oh my gosh.
Every major platform we are available. And you can also watch all of the shenanigans on
YouTube. Yeah, and we're trying to grow our following.
Yes.
So make sure you head on over there, check out the fits, and check out the new setting, by the way. We are in a new setup, new studio.
And if you are in one of the 28 countries, we have listeners in 28 countries while we're recording this today. Head on over to the comment section on YouTube to help boost it. Like Delia said, we're trying to build the account.
What are you doing anyway?
And we have some trolling men out there that are...
There's a lot of trolls, yeah. They got different colored hairs. We love it. It's okay.
And you know what? And we want you to come on in and join the conversation.
For sure.
Okay, so this is inspired by a TikTok video that we saw recently about a woman saying that it appears that all of her friends, including herself, have been single their entire lives because they were focused on building businesses or building their careers or wealth, whatever the situation might have been. Now they're women of a certain age. She mentions specifically 45 and up.
Yes.
And says that then here comes all these men around 50-ish years old, okay, saying, like, doing all the lovey things and, like, love bombing and everything and, like, dragging these women to the altar to get married only to have them
take care of them,
reveal that they're actually sick, going broke, like, the stuff that she says.
And then I think she mentioned in this whole, like, little TikTok that we caught that when you get married, I always say this, depending on how you got married, right? If it's not filed privately and you filed your license publicly, and if your now husband has a lot of, medical bills, guess whose medical bills they now belong to? Yep. And I know that most people say, no, whatever happened in the past doesn't belong to you, but somehow, some way, they find a way to attach these things to you now.
Well,
I'm not an attorney, but...
Well, she's also saying that these guys didn't do that before they got married. They purposely waited to find these women that would be able to carry the financial burden, be able to like wipe their you-know-whats, because these guys already know, like maybe they went to their regular doctor and the doctor said, you know what, you have liver disease or whatever.
And they're like, I gotta find me a wife. A hospice wife.
Yes.
Now, I'm not about the money, and I think that there's two sides to the story, in my opinion. I was telling Rachel off camera, okay? If you feel that this is what you're going to go look for, right? Okay, I need to find me a hospice wife. Because one thing for you to go look for a wife that you are going to grow old with.
The Fab 15 men that are watching.
Yes. And that you see the qualities in her that she would actually be there for the long haul. That's one thing. But it's another thing for you to know that you are sick and you're seeking a wife to take care of you. If that's the case, then if you should have a life insurance policy, okay, then I think it's only fair, in my opinion, that if there's going to be an exchange of value here, then I will be willing to, I was going to do it anyway. If you're going to be a wife, you know that that's part of the responsibility. But if that's the case, then there's an exchange of value. And I don't know if that's wrong, but I think that that's the way it should be.
I think it's fair.
I think it should be fair.
If we're assuming that he knew he was sick when he went on the hunt, chances are there's a doctor in the United States that knows this. And then that policy, and I'm not an insurance agent, might not be valid.
If he had it prior to,
that's what I'm saying.
Then he could just change the beneficiary.
If he already had it.
We're assuming, but if he has something wrong with him, then no insurance. No insurance.
Ladies, you are
gonna
SOL,
get
as
him.
they say.
Yeah, unless he has a house and he can deed it to to you. I
don't know. But you know, so she was telling this little story that was like a 3-minute TikTok, and she went on to say that it really seems to be that the women who are over the age of 45 that are career driven, have their ish together, so to speak, are now becoming targets for these types of men. She also talked about, they're about to go broke, meaning they might have the car and the clothes and a certain look maybe to their house or whatever, but they know this stuff is coming to an end, and then they're going to jump ship because they're going to file BK and all this stuff, and then now it's attached to the woman. And so I just found it to be disheartening, but interesting, because it sounds so strategic. It's almost like there's this whole, because let's face it, we've talked about this in previous episodes, there's so many women in this category.
For sure. Well, I think a lot of the time, like I know a lot of women, and I know some particularly that have never been married, never have had kids. One in particular, I remember we were coming home from a party. She's like 40 something and never had these life experiences, and like is literally breaking down to the Uber driver. Okay. And she's drunk, and I'm like, seriously, like, stop. And I'm like, let's go. And she's like, no, I've never been married. And I felt so bad for her, because I mean, thankfully I have been there, done that. And so imagine, here comes this guy that sees that she's like this damsel in distress that wants to get married, and maybe she's not going to have any kids at the age of 40 plus, right?
Yeah.
The likelihood is probably very unlikely, but
it's probably just companionship.
Exactly. So he probably sees that, and he's like, her all day long, twice on Sundays, I'm all about her. And then without realizing, like, he's just doing it because it's beneficial for him. And I think that's pretty messed up.
That's the part that's messed up. So difficult, because women these days are aging gracefully. There's, the whole advancements in fitness, all the education now that we understand that muscle benefits women. There's so many things with, whether it's the fillers or the cosmetic things. There's a lot of things that we've talked about that women can do to sort of elongate their youth or their beauty or whatever the value in the market is, right? Yeah. However, like you're saying, if these guys are coming in so intentional, and this entire sector of women is becoming a target for men that are on the last rung, they're hanging from the last rung of their ladder, whether it's their last rung of life that they're aware of and they're afraid of being on their own, or the last rung financially. And I personally have met several individuals through business that over time admitted to me that they are on their last hurrah and they're running out of money. Sheesh. And it's scary to them, and I'm sitting here going, and these are like men, but yet you see the Rolls Royce or you see the this, and the women are like, oh my God.
Oh yeah, that's right. I went on a date with a guy that was on his last run. This is like, I believe this could have been the second time he was a millionaire, and I was catching him as he was fallen out of grace. Yes. And let me tell you, I guess maybe when he was up there, he might have been a different kind of guy. But when I finally went on a date with him, holy moly, and this guy was near damn 60, by the way. Yeah. And I remember that, wherever we went to dinner, it wasn't that expensive or anything. But let me tell you, he was really quick to let me know, like, he's paying for dinner and this and that. And so, sometimes it depends on where you catch them. So imagine this guy does have a Rolls Royce and it's coming like, baby, I got you. Let me tell you, I got you a Chanel bag. I got you this. I got you that.
They know what to do. It's a love bombing.
And then all of a sudden, guess what? He's going bankrupt.
Yeah.
And then you are his target, because he sees that, hey, he knows that you have a good credit, good job, good career, good things coming. He's like, oh my gosh, I'm about her. I'm all about her.
Because you know what the reality of the situation is? When a guy is doing very, very well in life, he doesn't care about your credit. He doesn't care about your car. He doesn't care about nothing that you're wearing. Like, he doesn't care about your name brands. Like, he literally doesn't care. He just is like, oh, you know what? She's kind of cute. She's kind of smart. Or whatever. Sometimes they don't even care about that. There's something energetically that happens.
Yes.
And you're the one in front of them, and they will choose you. And I've heard this so many times, not only from the gurus we've had on, but just over the years, where I'm like, oh my God, you had this beautiful dime piece, so to speak, on your arm. Why did you go with that girl with the broken down Toyota Celica? Like, I don't understand.
I just needed to save her.
You know what I mean? There's something about her or whatever. Yeah. And so, I know for me, when I meet guys that are very successful, and not romantically, by the way, I have a really great disarming thing because of business. I have now gone from asking, how did you make your first million? To then, how in this economy, if you had to start over, how would you do it? To now, the question in the last 4 years has been, how many times have you been here? And every single time, except for once, the guys have said, this is my third run. this is my second run. So they lose it. So they get it and they lose it. So ladies, if you are over the age of 40 and you are entertaining a gentleman or a couple gentlemen that seem very successful, and they seem like maybe they're not even as successful as you'd like, but they're doing all the things, you, unfortunately, just like you probably should get the STD test back, we joke around about get the DNA, get the credit report. I say absolutely figure out what the financial health of this individual is.
For sure. And I think it's more obvious nowadays more than ever, by the way, because every like app I open, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, there's always something like if you're going to get married, and it may be the algorithm because we do the show.
Yeah.
And it might just be targeting me. I don't know. But it does tell you, but my algorithm basically does say, you know, there's attorneys that come on and they say you need to figure out how much in debt is this person, whether that's even, you know, student loans, even if it's medical bills, even if it was a bankruptcy,
child support. Ladies, depending on your state,
moly.
you can inherit that.
Yes.
Depending on your state, you can inherit that as well. So there's a lot to consider.
The last thing you want to do is to have to support, you know, add to the bag to support like his priorities.
Just imagine you're 45 years old, you're a woman, you're accomplished, you're together, you meet this man who seems, you know, classy, he's chivalrous, he says the right things, you think, gosh, he likes to travel, right? He says and does all the right things, smells good, looks good, whatever. So you go, oh my God, he got down on one knee and proposed. You go down and marry him, and you find out that he has kidney disease, whatever the ailments are, that he's not going to be around that much longer, and you're going to be the hospice wife. And guess what? Then you realize he had a whole ex-wife before and kids. So when he passes away, ladies and gentlemen, his first wife's going to get his Social Security benefits. His children are likely going to get his assets. So then and chances are he knew he had this condition, so he probably can't even get a new life insurance policy.
Yeah.
So what do you get left with? Holding the bag and wiping the behind.
Yeah, but you know what? I will say though, there are women that aren't going to stick out for that ride, and I'll tell you.
That's true.
And you know, because I was ironically getting my hair done with my stylist. She starts telling me about how this lady, she was on her third marriage, by the way, and I think I talked about this on like a previous episode, but. You know, the husband gets like some type of cancer, prostate possibly, some kind of cancer. But the possibility of him going through chemotherapy was a possibility of him going possibly blind. And I think
yes, you mentioned this. Yes.
And so, you know what? He goes blind, and all of a sudden she's like, I just don't want to do this. Like, she didn't want to take care of him. She would pretty much leave him at home with the nurse, not her. And then she was screwing around with, guess what? The personal trainer.
The personal trainer.
Yes. And it's not even funny, but like, I just remember I was like, I almost wish I didn't hear that story, but I know that this is the reality. Like it's like the ringing of the bell. Like you can't unring the bell. I almost wish I would have unheard that because it made me sad. I'm like, how sad. Here is this man, but I don't know what his ulterior motives were. I think he just married her. I don't know that
we don't know if he knew
that he had cancer or not, but she basically was like, I can't do it. I just, no, I didn't marry him to find out that he has all these conditions. And this was fairly fast in the marriage from my understanding. So they might have been married a few years, maybe a couple years. So I think that, you know, when you marry someone, I want to believe that you marry them because you love them.
Because you love them.
But it's different.
Through sickness and in health.
But
right?
It's different when you're with someone that you've been with since like 30 years, 40 years, and you know that like you've done your entire life with them or part of your life with them. I don't know. I don't know that I can gauge it based on the number of years, but I know that for sure she was not caring about that.
Because if you think about someone who's done 30 years with someone, they might not have it in them to do another 20 sick.
Especially
especially if he was like a jerk about the marriage or whatever.
He's like, now you want me to wipe your ass?
I knew a guy that had a lot. He was very, very successful, and he just ended up breaking his leg and had to be in a wheelchair because it was such a severe break. I want to say it was like his femur. And he broke his leg, and the girlfriend that he had, beautiful woman, they were together probably a year, maybe like 9 months, and she was freaking out because she was quite a bit younger than him, and her biggest thing is like, I don't know if I can do this, and I was like, do what? She's like push him around like in a wheelchair and like help him up and like, you know, he needs help bathing and like I don't know if I have this in me. And it made me think, all these older dudes that literally leave their wives for these younger women.
For sure.
And then the younger women, I'm like, oh no, we're not doing all that. Like we are not doing all that.
I know.
There's I was gonna say there's a funny story, but it's not funny, but it was kind of messed up. And supposedly it's a true story, and it was on Reddit. And I'm going to probably destroy the story, but basically it goes like this, similar to what you said with the guy that was going blind.
Yeah.
This man marries a woman. The woman is aware that the man has an ex-wife who came severely ill. She was in some sort of accident where she had a head injury, and it caused some cognitive damage.
Okay.
He tells the new one that they just got married. Tells the new one, you know, I feel bad. She's the whatever. I take care of her. She's in the guest house.
Oh,
so I
know.
think you might have
I've
seen
this one.
Okay,
yes.
And she's in the guest house, and there's a live-in nurse or whatever the situation is. She can't speak or something like that. And so the wife thinks, oh my God, the new wife is like, this is so endearing. You know, he just has a heart of gold, and of course, how's he going to throw her to the streets and like blah 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 blah. So the new wife lives in the main house. Ex-wife lives in the back house. And so one day, and by the way, the husband told the new wife, don't go back there. And so although she would see her walking around with the nurse that she has, she just would wave, and they knew of each other supposedly or whatever. Okay, cool. One day the nurse calls and says, I can't make it. My car broke down or whatever. Can you just go so you can give her like medication?
Yeah.
So she's like, okay. So she goes across the garden, I imagine, past the pool, I'm sure, and goes to the guest house in the back, sees the lady. And she's like, hi, oh my God, like your nurse, you know, but her car broke down. So I'm going to give you your medication. So stay right there. I'll be right back. She says she goes to the kitchen to get the medication. And when she comes back, the lady wrote, run.
Yes,
run.
I saw that.
And it's like, what do you do? Because supposedly she got a head injury, and that's what caused her issue.
I mean,
Can you imagine?
What I think, in my opinion, is like we've been single, we were married, and we know what that looks like too, though, by the way.
Yes.
We know what that lying looks like. We know what that looks like to be gaslighted. We know what that looks like to have someone tell you this when it's really that, you know, the cheating, the lying, all the things, right? And I'm not coming from a place of like I'm a bitter woman. I'm just saying like it makes you very woke, by the way. Very
the
woke.
red flags are like bright. Like we
For sure.
see the smoke, smell the smoke.
For
like,
sure. But you know, on the flip side of that though, I will say though, I understand though, by the way, there are women that obviously use their allure, their youngness, their livelihood, and they're like, hey, you know, and so they, you know, women are known to be a little bit gold diggerish too. So they are huntresses, and this is as old. We always talk about this. This is as old as time. However, this thing here that we're talking about, this is new.
Yes.
Like we understand that forever and ever men have been so worried about losing their assets.
Yeah.
Literally. And but nowadays I think that this has become so much more in your face about like the guys are trying to see where they fit, like where can I fit in here to like, you know, get a step up. And especially if you don't know that they're financially going broke,
they're heading down,
and then maybe you don't have a whole lot of money, but you have really amazing credit, and he knows that about you, and all of a sudden, oh, there goes that credit, that
and it's like
equity line of credit. There goes
even,
this.
Here's
there goes
the thing,
that.
like it doesn't even matter. These guys, I've like literally never heard a man really go, oh my gosh, she has wonderful credit. But what they will do is like literally sit
leverage
there and be
the shit out of it.
Leverage the crap out of her on every level. That maybe her connections, maybe her experience in something, and it is so disheartening to hear these stories because I'm telling you, there's this woman.
But it's so true what you were saying.
There's this woman that she's kind of young, kind of not. I guess you could say 40-ish, 39-ish. Lands this guy. We're talking private jet status through like his company and stuff like that. She's like, oh my God, he's a financial blah 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 this and that. Moves in with him. Okay, everyone's making a big deal. Oh my God, she got another one. There's the whale out of the ocean. This and that. How does she do it? Blah blah blah. And then it's like, love bomb. Spend the money. And then I think 6 months in, the dude's like, okay, so hear me out, because the partner got, I guess, whatever. anyways, it all came crumbling down. They were like living in his office building.
That's
so
awesome.
He did have like an office warehouse building.
Sounds like Tinder Swindler.
Okay. And she followed him, and that's where they were living. And
that's cool.
And it was like through the grapevine and stuff like that. Of course, I'd never say names or anything. And it actually broke my heart when I heard it, because I don't wish any ill on anyone or anything like that. But I thought, oh my God, it was like such a bait and switch. It was such a bait and switch. And I even asked myself, would I have fallen for that? Because I don't know that she could have seen that coming.
Yeah.
And this is right in line with what this topic is. It's like men are becoming more strategic. And they're becoming more intentional in a negative way. Mm-hmm. And it's predatory. And I think men, they've always been kind of predatory, right? Like by nature.
To the younger girls.
To the younger girls. But now to switch up to the older ones who are really trying to prove themselves more in order to compete in the market. We are here to say, ladies, watch out.
Here's my thing. I wonder how much of it is that a lot of women do have a little extra money, or they do have things going on that they're okay with splitting, buying, getting, doing. Yeah. So, and I'm saying this because it's so weird. I actually got, and I'll probably tag him on this podcast, by the way, because I'm just that way. I actually received a message from a blue checked person like yesterday. And he doesn't look much younger than me, by the way. And he's like, do you want to be my sugar mama? And I'm just like, okay, first off, what made you think that I would go there, first of all?
Well, when you read it to me, didn't he say, do you want a sugar baby or something? Are you looking for a sugar baby? And I was like, why would he think you're going to be a sugar mama to this freaking dude?
I'm like, first of all, you look ghetto as AF. As fuck. And he's got like tattoos, and I'm like,
maybe it's the guy I met in the parking lot.
No, it wasn't. He's totally Mexicano. Okay. I don't even know where he's from. And I was like, and who is paying you, buddy? Like, who gives you money?
Who did
like
this?
Who did this?
So we need answers. Like, who did this to this man?
I've had DMs where they're like, I want you to be my sugar baby, right?
Yes.
So I'm like, oh yeah, no, like, no, thank you.
You know what I mean?
But this guy's like literally flipping it on me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not the one. Sorry, go find yourself. Like, what?
Go find another ATM.
I guess obviously, like, he hit a chord with me, right? But my point is that like, guys are what you're saying.
They're becoming
predatory, very predatory.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, yeah, I'll block, control, delete. I'm like, never seen this guy. He's like some rapper dude.
Yeah.
He's blue checked though. He's verified.
That's why I was like, maybe it was the one from the parking lot. Remember? I'm like,
But that was another rapper. That
he
wasn't trying to do that. No, this guy's coming for me. Like, I want you to support me. I'm like, I'm not supporting anybody, dude. And so my point is that ladies, there's a lot of that.
Out. Like, I think, ladies, it's like, watch out. Like, don't sit there at this stage thinking that you're home free because you found this really great, classy guy. Like, literally do your due diligence. Do your homework. Like,
and it's true what you were saying, by the way, because I have conversations with everyone, and I happen to be the one that, like, I'm like the mother goose. like I have stories like Mother Goose, I think.
Oh, my God.
So here's the thing. I had a conversation with a man that's actually very, very, very wealthy, very well-to-do, and he says he doesn't care about their degrees.
They don't care.
He doesn't care about the credit. He doesn't care about the money. He doesn't care about any of that stuff. He just wants to, get away and have someone that has the flexibility to be able
travel.
To get up and go to Europe or go to, I don't know, Alaska, whatever. And he just doesn't really care about that. He said when he was younger and before he became very successful, that was very important. That was a really big deal to him. Like, did she study? Did she have a bachelor's, a master's, this, that, or the other? And he's like, that stuff doesn't matter to me anymore.
Once they make it, right? It's like they don't really care.
It's like it doesn't even matter.
Have you seen the there was a video going around on social media, and it's a woman. It's just her hands. The girl in her 20s, and she has her nails done really pretty. And it's just her hands in the video, and she grabs like a rail on the window, like on the balcony, and she goes like this, and then she goes and grabs like the bed edge, and she goes like this, and the caption is, when he invites you to travel with him, when he invites you on a trip with him, and what she's trying to say is it's just to have sex with him. So it's her hands, it's like positioned as if someone's having sex with her.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh.
He's
and
packing
like so
his
many
vagina.
he's packing the
Vagina. Wait, what was the comedian that says you gotta pack the vagina?
Oh yeah, he says you gotta pack it. You gotta pack it and take it with you. Even Eddie Murphy used to say.
That's what it was.
Even Eddie Murphy used to say, back in the old stand-up comedy days, he said, women, it's like you gotta walk it, you gotta talk to it, I don't know if it was Eddie Murphy or Dave Chappelle, but it was like, we're not out here trying to be all into the girls. It's just like we're walking our vagina, you gotta feed the vagina, you gotta talk to it, you gotta take it places, you gotta buy it things. And it was like so crazy. I'm like, that's how
he's just packing his vagina.
So guys inviting you to travel,
that's all. He's just securing. Not securing the bag, but securing the vagina.
Yeah, in the bag.
The bag.
Oh my gosh, ladies, we hope that you've enjoyed this episode.
Sure. And just watch yourself, man.
Oh,
watch yourself.
Be aware.
Be aware of everything. Because let me tell you something, you might be blinded by the ring, and it might be one of those homegrown diamonds.
Not the lab rats. Got the lab rats. Oh my gosh.
Yes, we talked about that on the last episode too. So you gotta watch yourself. You never know what people's intent and intentions are.
Know.
You gotta just do your due diligence and spoke you that mother effort.
Okay. All right. Sponsor us. Thanks for tuning in. See you next week.
Yes. And cheers.
Cheers. You deserve fresh lettuce.